Lucius Annaeus Seneca was one of the most vivid and at the same time most controversial figures of ancient Rome. His name is associated not only with Stoic philosophy, but also with a real struggle for inner freedom in a harsh world of power, fear, and intrigue. Seneca did not write for abstract sages, he wrote for people living amid anxiety, temptation, and loss. He was born around 4 BC in Corduba, in what is now Spain. But while still young he found himself in Rome, the center of the empire and of human passions. There Seneca studied rhetoric and philosophy, quickly gaining fame as a brilliant orator and a subtle thinker. His speeches impressed with their precision and force, while his philosophical works stood out for their rare clarity. Even then, he believed that the true purpose of philosophy was not to adorn language, but to heal the soul. Seneca's life was never separate from politics. He experienced exile when, by order of Emperor Claudius, he was sent to Corsica. It was there, in loneliness and humiliation, that his Stoic ideas gained depth. He wrote about patience, acceptance of fate, and the value of time that can never be reclaimed. For Seneca, suffering was not evil in itself, the real evil was the loss of inner balance. After returning to Rome, Seneca became the tutor of the young Nero. At first, it seemed that the philosopher might guide the future emperor toward wise and just rule. In the early years, Nero indeed showed restraint, which many attributed to Seneca's influence. But power gradually corrupted the emperor's character. What began as hope turned into fear and violence. Seneca found himself trapped by his own role. He stood close to power, yet could not control it. He was often accused of hypocrisy, for he wrote about moderation while possessing great wealth. Seneca himself was aware of this contradiction and did not deny it. He believed that wisdom lies not in perfect purity, but in a constant striving for inner honesty. When Nero accused him of taking part in a conspiracy, the verdict was inevitable. Seneca accepted death calmly, without panic or pleading. He said farewell to his loved ones, opened his veins, and died as he had taught others to live with dignity and a clear mind. His death became a symbol of Stoic courage, and the final proof that words and life can align. After Seneca's death, his works letters to Lucilius, on the shortness of life, on tranquility of mind, on anger did not lose their power. They survived the fall of the empire, were read by medieval Christian thinkers, and rediscovered by Renaissance humanists. In every age, people found in them answers to their own fears. Seneca taught that the greatest loss is not death, but a life lived in vain. He reminded us that we suffer not so much from events themselves as from our judgments about them, and that freedom begins where the fear of losing what does not depend on us comes to an end. Today, 2,000 years later, Seneca sounds remarkably modern. In a world overloaded with information, constant anxiety, in the pursuit of success, his voice calls us to stop and look inward. His philosophy is not an escape from reality, but the art of living within it while preserving reason, dignity, and inner freedom. Seneca did not promise an easy life or offer quick solutions. His stoicism was demanding, yet honest. He emphasized that a person becomes truly strong not by dominating others, but by learning to govern oneself. That is why his texts do not grow old. They are addressed not to a specific era, but to human nature itself. A special place in Seneca's teaching was devoted to time. He wrote that people carefully guard their property, yet waste their days as if they were inexhaustible. For him, every moment was a part of life itself, not merely preparation for the future. One must live now without postponing calm, dignity, and integrity for later. This idea makes his philosophy strikingly relevant even in the modern rhythm of life. Seneca also wrote extensively about the fear of death. He believed that this fear enslaves people more than anything else. By accepting the inevitability of the end, a person frees themselves from unnecessary anxiety and begins to value what truly matters. Death, for him, was not a tragedy, but a natural completion of the journey, one that cannot diminish a well-lived life. No less important to him was the theme of anger. Seneca saw anger as a destructive force that destroys both the one who feels it and those at whom it is directed. Self-control, in his view, is a form of courage available to everyone. He believed that calm is not weakness, but a sign of inner strength. Seneca's philosophy did not require withdrawal from the world or rejection of society. On the contrary, he urged people to live among others, to fulfill their duties, but not to allow external circumstances to enslave the mind. Freedom, according to Seneca, is born within, where a person ceases to depend on praise, fear, or chance. Even today, his image remains a symbol of a man who thought deeply and lived dangerously close to power without losing his inner compass. Seneca left behind not merely a philosophical legacy, but but a moral challenge to every generation to learn how to live in such a way that no circumstances can take away what matters most: freedom of mind and dignity of spirit.